friends, welcome to our show. We are back with another episode of
Episode of Immigrants Corner.
Immigrants Corner. Today's episode actually it's special to me in a way that the former Vice President Biden officially recognized the
Former
army.
Vice President, the current president.
He's the former Vice President.
Yeah.
Anyways, he officially recognized the Armenian
Former senator.
Former senator. Whatever, we could say a former human.
Yeah.
He officially recognized the Armenian genocide. Now, and among the Armenians, there were the Assyrians, there were the Greeks, there were who else was involved in the genocide? I forgot the rest of the.
Well, mostly was the Ottoman Turks, obviously,
Yeah.
their involvement.
This happened during the Ottoman Empire, and Turkey continues to deny it. And you know what? Fine, he recognized the genocide thing. That's a good thing. The fact that we all know it happened.
But the thing is, like European countries that have recognized it a couple decades ago.
Exactly. So it has been
20 plus years
recognized. Okay, it has been recognized. Look, I have an Armenian wife. I'm Assyrian myself, and this doesn't bring closure to anybody. Just because he recognized it doesn't bring closure. And let me explain my position on this. We have 2 military bases in Turkey. Now they have a big red X on them at this point by him doing that. He did not save Armenia by saying that he recognized the Armenian genocide. He actually, this is my opinion, that he actually put Armenia in a grave danger even more than what they were. Because now Turkey can retaliate, and with the help of Azerbaijan, they could go into Armenia and basically take over. They took, which was a disputed land for a long time, and Armenia is not prepared to defend itself. It does not have the weapons. It does not have the money or the economy. Nothing. Armenia. It is not in a good position to be able to defend itself. Now, a lot of people that I saw, oh my God, this brings closure. This brings this. No, it doesn't. It doesn't do anything. Just because he came out and said, I recognize the Armenian genocide. Well, what are you going to do about it? What are you going to do? He did not impose any new sanctions on Turkey. He did not impose any new sanctions on anybody that had a hand in it. Okay? So,
Well, I mean, by sanction on Turkey, what are they going to do now? I mean, it's
nothing. It's the fact he's
was like
you know what he's
100
doing? You know what he's doing?
It's like 120 plus years ago.
He's playing with the emotions of a bunch of people who they want these words to be heard from somebody else. Okay? If you read some books, it will tell you that the Armenian genocide happened. It's not a myth. Okay?
We discussed that in one of the
We discussed that. There's books,
videos, books,
there's
book from
documentaries, there are survivors.
right around 1900.
Right, there were survivors.
So
There's-
first-hand witness.
Exactly. There were survivors. There's books. There's history books that declares that the genocide happened. Right. When the Nazis were in power and they committed the genocide against the Jews, Germany after it basically it recognized the genocide, it protected the Jews. It started giving them more benefits, more this, more that. They brought him into the society. They apologized. They did all that stuff. So, for those people who say his words gave us closure, I'm sorry, but you're nothing but just an emotional mess. You want closure? You need to push him to have to fall.
Just don't push.
He's gonna fall. But realistically speaking, he actually put our military bases in Turkey in danger. I mean, he even announced, the State Department announced to all the U.S. citizens in Turkey, be aware, be careful. There's basically an X mark on your back. So that was an official warning going out to all the U.S. sits
It's
in
just like it's
Turkey.
interesting to me, just looking at it like strategically, right? So Armenia is a small Christian nation. Democrats have been ignoring pretty much the left in general, in Europe too. All this stuff happening in the minorities in the Middle East, especially the Christian. They pushed for unlimited immigration from Muslims in Middle East to Europe and North America, but not the same numbers from other minorities and Christians. So they couldn't care less. So to me, this is a political as well. So because Russia is behind supporting, so it seems like a Christian nation, supporting another Christian nation, because Azerbaijan and Turkey, both of them are predominantly Muslim countries, even though that the religious sect is different. Azerbaijan is predominantly Shia, and Turkey is predominantly Sunnis. Nonetheless, both of them are Islamic. And Russia now, by supporting Armenia, I think just this was more like saying, giving kind of like, virtue signaling, we are protecting a small Christian country. In reality, if you're not doing anything, it's just, as he said, it's just empty words.
Yeah.
Okay, they're over there. What are you going to do? Are you going to give them arms? Are you going to
Nope.
protect them? Are you going to try to give them protection to, or to do no-fly zone?
Nope.
In those areas, so they can't be taken over, or just, what are you going to do?
The funny thing is Iran.
It's just a pep talk without.
Yeah, and the funny thing, while the war was happening in Artsakh between Azerbaijan and Armenia, Iran actually allowed Russia to fly over its airspace to provide arms to Armenia. But at that point, it was already a little too late. But what I'm trying to say is that by just saying, "Oh, I recognize the genocide," listen, you moron. The genocide happened. There's a reason past presidents didn't come out and say we recognize the genocide. They already know it happened. Okay? There is a foreign policy in place. There is a reason that it's called foreign policy that
because Turkey was more important than for U.S. as being a NATO ally than, let's say, small.
It's not even that. It's the fact that
no resources.
Exactly. Well, that's not even the point. The point is we have U.S. interest in Turkey at this point. Okay, we have military bases there, and if Turkey wants to retaliate, they can actually force those military bases out very easily. Very easily. And that's a very bad situation. Very, very bad situation. There's a reason these past presidents, they strategically did not announce that the genocide happened or recognize the genocide. There's a reason behind it, okay? Foreign policy can affect U.S. tremendously in matter of days. Okay, it's not a domestic issue. This is a foreign issue. Whenever there's a foreign policy issue at play, things happen quick. Things escalate very quickly. Okay, so
and most people, they say, okay, why do we spend all this money on other foreign countries and on international relations and on other issues? Obviously,
it's tits for tats. That's all it is. It's tits for tats.
A lot of the money can be spent more wisely, and they can be spent over here. I'm actually the proponent of that. However, when you're talking about the nation, if you're talking about the nation that in this day and age and with all these adversaries and all that, so think about an onion. You get so many layers of protection. It's like, so if the U.S. have bases in other countries overseas, that means we don't want to fight battles, wait until it gets here on our shores, like Pearl Harbor. So that's a whole, like a strategic view of it is, they said, yeah, we are going to have presence over there if it's going to be any kind of instability or problems, or if we need to, get involved in any kind of regime change or something like that, it's going to be more overseas. And if it's going to be any kind of, let's say, Syria. In Syria, millions of people get, became refugee, and they had to leave their houses. It's just the whole city's been destroyed. But somebody over here goes to the mall. Okay, I heard about civil war in Syria, but they have no clue what has happened over there. But that country is just totally destroyed, like the infrastructure, roads, cities, totally destroyed.
I personally think
For the interest of the few other big powers, let's say Russia, Saudi Arabia, and Gulf states, and the U.S. to have a oil and gas pipeline to go through there to kind of like push back against Russia's energy dominance. And you have a country over there, and millions of people became refugee because of that's the reality of it.
Yeah.
So the Armenian thing I think he didn't do it out of a virtue signaling or something like that, even though they want to take credit for it. If you look at the World War I, World War II, a lot of big conflicts actually starts from very small countries. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? So
Iran and Kuwait, remember that? Well, that was short-lived.
Iraq and Kuwait, let's say in World War I and World War II, Austria.
Yeah.
Austria itself actually was like a smaller kingdom. Austria in general, just that geographic location, just a small kingdom. So that caused the actually start of the World War. So I think Armenia is a situation like that because now U.S. is trying to push against Russia. Armenia would be one of those places because of proximity. Armenia, Georgia, they had the war in Georgia. Uh-huh. And obviously, we pulled back and stuff over time that Russia have more influence there. But Armenia, Georgia, places like that. Ukraine, you look at how Ukraine important it is.
I think Ukraine is a cancer, dude.
Right, because now it's not a matter of. It's not a matter of. Sometimes it's not a foreign policy. It's not a matter of who is winning and losing. It wouldn't affect both. It's just more of a perception of if you back up, that means you're on decline. So that would actually give more confidence to the adversaries to push more. So hence, even on a position that might not be very beneficial, let's say Ukraine, Ukraine doesn't have much. Like, they gave up their nuclear weapons and all that. Gas pipes going through it from Russia, and that's it.
That was the fight over Artsakh because of for oil transport.
Right.
But I honestly think if he really cares about this whole Armenian genocide thing, I think he needs to put his money where his mouth is. He needs to provide arms to the Armenians and give them training, military training. I think that will
have bases there.
I think that would be the great first step. If you really care, if you truly care about the Armenian people,
bases in the Muslim countries, then why can't we have
exactly. Armenia is the smallest country in that region, a Christian country. They are trying to eliminate all the Christians in the Middle East. It's the goal of the Muslims. I'm sorry to say it, but that's just the goal of the Muslims. Not the people, but the regimes. Regimes in power, that's their goal, to eliminate all the Christians. When the fight was happening between Artsakh and Armenia and Azerbaijan, when they did an interview in Turkey, the Turkish people there, they're like, oh, we'll just get some ladies like, oh, I'll just behead them. It's an ideology. It's an ideology, it's propaganda and all that stuff for over years of propaganda. This is what they feed their people. And that's
late action because they were afraid if they would side with Armenia, which they wanted to, right? Because we have large Armenian community living in Iran, and historically we've been very close.
Yeah, even here.
Obviously, the reason is because they didn't want to push Azerbaijan more toward Turkey, and also there's a lot of separatist movement in northwest Iran that they didn't want to encourage that. Mm-hmm. So that's a reason. Like otherwise, they would. It's very beneficial for them actually to back up Armenia to use that land as a buffer. So the Turkey doesn't have direct access to Azerbaijan.
Yep.
So it has to go through either Armenia or Iran. So actually, that would be Iran's leverage. So unfortunately, they took a late action. They didn't make a decision right away. But nonetheless, they have mentioned that any kind of future armed conflict, that means in that they're going to get involved, meaning they're kind of like a hint to Turkey, okay, you have played this for your politics or whatever, but if you're going to be starting any kind of armed conflicts over here, Iran is going to get involved. And you don't want to mess around with Iran with the proxy war because they're master of it. I mean, you look at what they did in Syria and the Middle East.
Oh, they're still doing it. They're still doing it.
So they're Yemen. I mean, they have destroyed Saudi Arabia with I mean,
I think we're
it's
allied.
amazing actually. Military strategic.
I honestly think we're allied with the wrong countries, man. I think we should be allied with Iran, realistically speaking. If U.S. was allied,
Armenia, yep.
I mean, if U.S. was allied with Iran, Armenia, and the smaller countries around there.
Well, the issue with Iran is they have Iran is the most important
let me
Russia, you
rephrase.
have China. All of them are pitted, so they
But
can't.
let me rephrase where I mean allies. Okay, obviously the current regime, or the regime in play for the past 40+ years, is not a fan of the U.S. Okay, they never been and they never will, because of the ideology that they carry. But had we not brought this regime in play, and had Shah continued to rule Iran, Iran would have been one of the strongest and the most powerful countries in the Middle East.
I would say out of the three main singular power, I call them, because you get the collective European Union is powerful too, but individually those countries just don't have, they're pretty much just what they call it, somebody like a singer goes, if he has a few of his, people around him, what they call him?
What?
Like a singer goes somewhere.
Oh, entourage.
Entourage, yeah. It's just like a European countries are like a U.S.'s entourage. That's what it is. True.
Dude, just say delegates. Delegates will work.
Entourage, actually, that sounds
entourage. Well, entourage feed off the main guy.
Right.
That's what they do.
That's what they do. Entourage. But out of the three main singular powers, so is China, Russia, and United States. Actually, United States, as he said, should be much better positioned, even though that we had the coup back in 50s and stuff, involvement with the domestic policies, the bad policies like during Shah. Nonetheless, Russia, multiple countries that today are countries, are the countries separated from the Iranian land by Russia. Turkmenistan, part by itself, Georgia, Chechnya, Armenia, and Azerbaijan. Yeah. So all these
all
countries,
the stands basically.
All these countries during the two Persian and Russo-Persian wars, whatever they call them. So it's separated in a matter of like 150, 160 years. Now, United States never took away land from Iran.
No.
Obviously, we were involved with the coup during the Mossadegh regime and all that, the prime minister who nationalized the oil industry. But if you look at it historically, so we should be more in line, because historically we were not as harmful to Iran as, let's say, Russia has been. On the other hand, China is the only country that always has been a good term since ancient time with Iran. It's just more of a trading partner. And you see the result of that. They always emphasize on that. And that you see the result was the $400+ billion agreement plus
the 25-year agreement,
and
man.
That's a security agreement.
That's not just big economic agreement, man.
Right, that's a security agreement, because I said previously, China is not going to invest $400 billion in any country and then allow anybody else and come and eat their lunch. So.
And just as a final thought, look, Iran has internally, like as a nation, is less. What's the word I'm looking for? Extreme. They're less extremist.
In the past 40 years, they has changed.
They have changed. They have mellowed down. I mean, not to take away from the fact that they are more extreme in other countries, as far as like they're trying to push their agenda as far in like proxy wars or whatever. But as a nation, Iran historically has been a very calm country, and I honestly think if there's a day that U.S. can become allies with Iran, it's a huge and a huge benefit to the Christian countries around. Huge, unbelievable benefate.
As compared to other Muslim countries, Christians been living
because
in Iran for
historically most of the Muslim countries who had Christians living in them, the Christians were protected by the government historically. Iraq, for example, Saddam protected all the Christians. In Syria, Assad protected all the Christians. In Iran, same thing. Iran, after the revolution, even though they were being persecuted for mainly spreading Christianity in Iran, that was the main reason they were being persecuted, and but in the past 10 to 15 years, that has changed a lot. So with that, we're going to end this segment today. Please hit that like button, hit the subscribe button, and share this video with your friends. Leave your comments down below with anything, any topic you want to speak to us, or if you have questions or whatever. But go ahead and share this video with your friends. Hit the bell button so you can.
These are the topics that are going to last actually for many years.
I mean,
because they're very complicated.
In 2 years from now, come back and watch this video. It's like, oh my God, this guy, he's a genius. What the hell was he talking about then? It's like, whatever.
What can I do?
Not you, man, me. Anyways, guys, take care of yourself. Stay safe. God bless this country, man. I love this country.
God bless
but let's try to help as many people as we can. God bless you. Take care.